There is an age-old debate about whether you would buy an old house or you will buy a new house. So in this video, I am going to share with you that which one is better for you as an investor and where you can make a maximum profit. So if this interests you, then stick around. Old property versus new property. When you buy an old property, generally speaking, the number one difference between old and new is that old property has a bigger land as compared to the new property. I always invest in an area where the old property, but the land size is quite big. And as you know that the land always appreciates because there is always a limited supply of land. Plus, if you buy a bigger block of land, then tomorrow you can manufacture something. You can do something with that land. You can subdivide it and you can make a 2 or 3 blocks if the land size is bigger. So buying an older house with a bigger land is make more sense than buying a smaller land brand new house, because bigger land is always going to appreciate as compared to smaller land. So the number one differentiator to me is that having a bigger land with an old house as compared to a smaller land with a new house. The second difference is the supply and demand. If you buy an older property in an old suburb, then the supply is very limited, right? All the houses are already well established. As a result, all these houses are pretty much either tenanted or owner occupied. So when you actually buy an older house, then it's much easier to rent it out, is much easier if it is. Whereas if you buy a new property and then the developer is building more and more new houses in that area, there are more subdivision is happening in the stages, different stages, then you are actually competing with all the newer houses and the supply is huge with these new houses. And if the supply is huge, the demand will be much less. Then your rental return, your growth will be much lesser. If you buy a brand new house, then chances are that yes, you might get a little bit of growth, but as compared to older house, the new house growth will be way more less. And that's because that your supply and demand is not matching. The newer house, the newer smaller blocks, more and more properties are coming from developers, and hence house and land package or this kind of properties that in an area where it is not established, you should not be able to make more profit as compared to an older house. The next point is about rental return. Sometimes I hear that, oh, if we buy a brand new property, then the developer is giving me 3 years rental return or 5 years rental return. Well, if you see the hidden cost, which is that the rental return is actually baked into while you are paying when you are purchasing the house. So in that way, they are already putting this, and once the developer will be going on from that area, once all the buildings will be developed, all the houses is developed, then it will set into the market, because market will always tell how much would be the rental return. Whereas if it is an old house, then also it will set in the market, but the older house means in an older suburb means it is well established suburb and people are generally living there. So chances of getting into not being tenanted of an old house is very limited. Whereas if it is a newer suburb where all the houses are brand new and you basically your property is tenanted for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then another new property comes in the different phases, then your tenant might move to the new house because they have choices. And once they have choices, then they will be going to those areas, those properties, and your property you have to either lower your rent to attract different tenants, or you might have to wait for the vacancy. So the older house vacancy will be way less as compared to the newer house, particularly if the new house in a suburb which is being built is a brand new suburb. In my opinion, rental return is way more if it is over a period of 5 years or 10 years time, if you look for an older house as compared to the new house. But so man, what about the depreciation? I agree with that when you buy a newer house, then it will have a more depreciation component as compared to the old house. Old house will also have depreciation, but it will be much lesser. However, you need to understand that depreciation is a non-cash expenses. Of course, you are not paying for it, but you get the tax benefit. But when you sell this property, then you need to pay back all this depreciation that you have claimed now. So it is important to know it's not free money, it's just you are deferring the tax. Hence, it's a little bit of short term benefit, but in a long term, it is a loss to me. So depreciation, whereas you will also get for the older house, it's not as much as the newer house, but it is still the growth that you are losing, the manufacture component that you will be losing if you buy a new house is way more. So I'd rather buy an old house with less bit of depreciation as compared to a newer house where the depreciation immediate profit, but then long term it is going to be a problem. So you need to always think that how you can mix it with both growth as well as income as compared to just looking for an income with a new property. There you go. I hope that I have convinced you that why you would buy an older house as compared to the newer house, because new house is always, it's going to give you over a long term and lesser growth as compared to the older house, and these are the parameters that I have just described. Remember, anything, whether it's a car or the clothes or any new toys, anything that you buy, even the new house, as soon as it comes out of the market and it's lose its value 5%, 10%, or 120%. So your secret is to buy something old and then you make that, you manufacture it, you do something out of it so that it becomes a more profitable in future. You are buying an investment property for other people to live. It will be your tenant who is going to pay you, so as a rental property. Ask yourself, why would you buy a brand new property and give it to someone else, whereas you will get the similar rent with an older house with a bigger block, and that will have a more manufacture growth. So investment is all about understanding this and taking your emotion out and purely looking for the numbers. And if you buy an old house, means you are looking for an investment point of view in numbers, manufacture growth, whereas if you buy a new house, then chances are that you are going with the emotion, you are a lazy investor and you don't think about how you will make money, how to reach your financial independence. So I hope this videos was helpful. If you like this video, then subscribe my channel, turn the notification bell on, and more importantly, share this with your friends, that it will really help them as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.